So I'm not sure that any criticism is true. Hey look, it's my weird show about creativity called The more I think about it, the more I question whether any critique about a piece of media is ever objectively valid. It's funny because I made a video a while back arguing that music isn't subjective, and now I'm gonna make a video arguing kind of the opposite. Because almost every time I've heard somebody criticize a movie or a song or something like that, I can come up with some reason why that criticism doesn't make the artwork bad. For example, this album by Animal Collective is kind of hated by the fans because it's more zany and playful than their usual wild and dark style. And I got into one of those famously useful and productive Facebook arguments with some fans about it. They kept saying that the album sounds silly, and my response to that was, how does that make it worse? And they'd say something like, because it sounds childish, and I would say, how does that make it worse? And then they'd be like, because I just don't like the way it sounds. Aha, you just don't like it. So often someone's criticism just comes down to they didn't like the way the artist did it. Watching a movie and thinking, I would have done this instead, doesn't mean that would make the movie better. It just means you're a different human than the person who made it. I can't even hear my own favorite song without thinking of things I would have done a little bit differently. See, I really wish they would have put a sound effect of a pig oinking right there. Would have made it so much better. But that's the beauty of creativity. It's diverse and unpredictable because it comes from the mind of other people. Unless you believe in that solipsistic idea where you're the only being in the universe who's ever existed. Which means your brain has painted every masterpiece and composed every symphony without you ever even knowing it. Which also means you've created every terrible Transformers film. Thanks a lot. Actually, as a figment of your imagination, I have a whole list of grievances I need to get through. What were you on when you imagined Roseanne into existence? You need to stop creating figments of your imagination while taking Ambien. And just because a lot of people agree with any given criticism doesn't mean that makes it true. We have review aggregators to sort of get a general sense of how the populace feels about a piece of media. But still, so many criticisms of things even that people generally agree on aren't necessarily or inherently accurate. They're just asserted by somebody who feels that it seems true. Like I've heard people say that this album is disjointed and chaotic, like that somehow makes it automatically bad. What's wrong with jarring, disconnected things? Where's the 10 Commandments that says music owes you any flow? What if it's intentionally disjointed? Now, where does that leave us? Then they'll say something like, well, it just doesn't seem as cohesive as other albums. It doesn't seem as inspired. To me, it seems otherwise. I don't think the bass line really works on this song. Cool, I think it does. So now what? So do our two opinions cancel each other out like opposing votes and it's like nobody ever even had any opinions? Even things that seem like mistakes, like some people sing crazy and pitchy on purpose, some acting is awkward and stiff on purpose. Of course, if you can tell that they tried and failed at something, then that's probably the closest we can get to like objectively true criticism. But I've also heard people say that Tom Cruise is a good actor, so we can't even agree. So what does that mean? If all criticism is potentially wrong, does that mean that all art is good? I have discovered the secret to world peace. I can hear the angels singing. Actually, they're singing a little out of tune. Now, I know criticism is just a suggestion, you can take it or leave it, but lately I don't really take that much stock in people's negative or positive opinions. Every time somebody says, this thing was bad about that show, my response is just, yeah, I mean, maybe. For example, a lot of people hated the show Iron Fist because the main character was emotional and indecisive and it had kind of a malfunctioning superpower, but I thought that was the most interesting and compelling part about the show. And in a world with so much overflowing media that's kind of driven by recommendations, it's kind of hard to know what to believe. What do you think? Is criticism ever inherently valid? And what's your criticism of this video? Oh wait, it doesn't matter. Just kidding, I can handle harsh criticism as long as you're proud of me, Dad. Thanks for watching. Here are some past Red shows. You can click those, and click that bell notification down there. I've been told that does something. And remember, if you ever criticize a guy on the street, he's, he's gonna kick you in the tooth.